It's still your best sporting show in the whole of the universe. It's still News Instant Star Sports. Every live on a band radio scope are the best online radio in the whole of North America. And of course, on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere you can take off. And I was wondering, I have the co-host with me. I have Roku Kachi and I have Lawale. But I'm wondering, Kachi and I we are lost what the theme of the show will be today. I wanted to use two hag for I don't know if Kachi agrees with me, but I'm going to for me it's going to be two hag, no more 10 hag. And I'll allow the co-hosts introduce themselves. Start with Olawale.
Hello, sporting fans around the world. Welcome to the show. Yeah, for me, this weekend, I think the theme for me is about having a biased opinion. I was watching Leeds United against Wolverhampton yesterday, and I saw their lineup. And when I looked at it, I saw two players from the United States. I was like, in their starting lineup, like, which team in the world that means serious business we have two players from the United States? Do they play football there at all? Now for you to have two players from the United States in a single team. So when they consider the first goal, I think within the first 10 minutes, I said, yeah, of course. What do you expect from a team that has two United States players? But eventually they won the game. And one of the guys from United States, let me try to remember his name. Is it Harrison? Harrison Kriya, he was actually involved in one of the goals. And at times, you just have to give people a chance and don't probably write them up because of where they are coming from or what you probably think about their game before.
All right, perfect. Kachi.
Sports fans, always a pleasure being here with you. I wanted to go with a double entendre by saying, even though the season just started, Manchester United could not brighten the day of their fans. Every pun intended. I'm also not sure if we should start the inquest into how the season would transpire for United. The second thing is, and like I mentioned to the team during our social media chat, I am not sure I understand the style of football Chelsea is playing. I told the Chelsea fan on Instagram that this season they will need to be very patient because there will be a lot of suffering for Chelsea in all the games they will play. Stay tuned for a cracking show, and we will dissect everything sports, starting from basketball to football. Football is back.
Football is back. EPL is back, and the action is live. But honestly, if I'm going to, I don't want to forget. But like I said during the production call, the Chelsea fans are the most stubborn set of fans in this whole world. Everybody to see the problem with their team, except the Chelsea fans themselves. All right, we'll jump straight into the world of basketball. And where do we start from? We start from is the GOAT of his own generation, which is James Lebron of his own generation. Because I was reading what Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said. He said people should stop talking about GOAT, that there's no GOAT anywhere. You can only be a generational GOAT because of the situation that surrounds, the rules change, the player you played with changes, the coach, the science, and whatnot. But this is a good one. LeBron had a very fruitful and positive discussion with the LA Lakers concerning this contract as to whether I could get an option of doing 2 years, 1 year, and become a free agent because of his son that is going to be potentially joining NBA. Kachi, it's a good one. It's a good one for LeBron. But I'm looking at the son. The son does not look like he's going to make it or play professional basketball or be drafted. Kachi, your opinion before I jump to Lawale.
I think he will be drafted. I just think he will not be drafted. Based on the most recent ranking of high schoolers who are potentially going to college, Bron Jr. was ranked. He's a 3-star ranked athlete and not a five-star ranked athlete, which means even if if he maintains this level and he potentially becomes eligible for the draft, he may go between the second and the fifth round of the draft. He's currently in his senior year in high school, and when LeBron ends year one of the new contract, he becomes eligible because unlike college football, in the NBA, you become draft eligible after your first year. And I expect, and LeBron also expects that Bron Jr. would declare for the draft after his first year, just to make that potential dream of
Come
uh,
true.
of both of them playing in the league come true. Now, here's the thing: Bron Jr. is not the main news here. The main news is the possibility of any team, barring the Cleveland Browns, the Lakers, and who is their worst enemy, maybe the Celtics, but any team that drafts Bron Jr. at whatever round may potentially win the jackpot of having LeBron for at least 1 year.
1 year.
Now, we're not saying this is going to be a dominant number one ranked basketball player in LeBron James, but even at 40 years, we believe LeBron can still post a 25-5 statistics for you, and that will be a big thing, not just for your market. Ultimately, whoever gets Bron Jr. will probably send him to the G League and keep his father for 1 year. But I think it's a good thing. We've seen several people come from second, third, fourth rounders and become
Yeah.
great stars.
Great. Yeah. Yeah.
Nikola Jokic, who was not drafted in the first round, is a back-to-back MVP right now. So it is possible. There's a lot of stuff for Bron to do to get to that elite level. But the upside is we'll get whatever team drafts him, we'll get LeBron James for at least 1 year. I'm looking forward to it. I would like to see it happen. I've watched the young man train with his father. It looks like there will be potential upsides for him. The challenge is everybody said LeBron is a freak of nature at 6'6". Bron Jr. is not even 6'2" yet. So he still needs to add a few inches to his
Few
height,
centimeters.
and that is probably what will help his game elevate to the next level. But my thoughts.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that. Lali, I saw LeBron chin. I'm like, this guy, is he going to ever stop? Um, we know what we're expecting from him, but how positive is this news for LeBron himself and the LA Lakers going to the new season? Olade.
Well, I don't think it's a big deal because I think the LA Lakers they have a bigger issue for them to sort out, which is the fate of what do you call it, Russell Westbrook. Are they going to move on from Russell Westbrook? Is there any team interest? And Russell Westbrook, I think he has an expiring contract, so there
Yeah.
have been talks of whether they are going to buy him out of his contract, but like one of these NBA analysts we always say, apart from the brand, the owners of the Lakers are not. They are as in, if you are looking at the NBA team owners, the Lakers owners are probably not among the richest based on the standard of the owners we have now in the NBA. The only thing they have presently going for them
It's a
is
great
the
brand.
franchise itself. So I'm not sure they have that money to buy Russell Westbrook out of his contract. They'll be looking for a team
Let's
who
still
will probably
compete.
take his expiring contract. I think that's a bigger issue for them. How to sort out Russell Westbrook, or are they going to stick with him? Trying to experiment it with another 1 year. I'm not sure LeBron will probably want that, even though I'm sure he was partly responsible for
Bringing
Russell
him in the
Westbrook
first
coming,
instance.
bringing him in the first instance. So I don't think this LeBron thing is it's on one hand fine, of course, having a very good talk with him, it's a good thing. But on the other hand, I think they need to feed their roster because they don't probably have enough to trade for
Anything
any,
good
let me say,
off
good
season.
player. Yes, so they have to look for veterans who will take the minimum to come and play. So they need a
to
lot.
come and
That
play.
takes a lot of thinking, a lot of it's very taxing to do a lot to fill in that roster. Considering the fact that LeBron is probably going to 38. Is it 37 or 38? What do you call him? I think AD is injured again. I think they said it's going to miss. I think that should even be the bigger news for us. I saw it somewhere that was going to miss the start of the season. Please, Kachi, you can confirm it, or Debo, players, you can look for it. I'm sure that should even be the bigger news. It's just coming to me now. So
KD is always
those are
injured.
the things I think the Lakers are big focus. It's not KD. I'm talking about, what do you call it?
No, Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis is always injured.
Of course, for a number of months he was out. It was expected that it was going to be fit for this coming season. So I think the LeBron news shouldn't be a big thing for them. The Lakers organization have to sort out the problems they have with their roster, because that roster is not good enough to get to the, let me say, to the Western Conference final. Not talk of even competing for the Western Conference title.
Okay. Anthony Davis.
I cannot confirm that news right now, but what we do know is they think that the Lakers are probably in a really good shape, and they've been very reluctant to use their 2028, 2029 picks in any potential trade, because let's not forget, they already traded everything from 2023 to 2027.
And there are news that some people within the Lakers organization are already even considering exploring trading Anthony Davis. That's even the bigger news now.
Yeah.
I'm sure it has to do with...
I believe, for me, if you ask me though, trading out AD is going to be a better option for them than keeping him. If you have a player that does not, we all understand is good, but he cannot keep fit.
It depends on what you get. It depends on what you get for him, Debo. If he's going to come with a player and draft picks, then it makes sense. Looking at the next draft class, there's really no standout talent. So the Lakers have to be very forward-looking and look at 2025, 2026 draft class.
But what if you get a good player? What if you get a good player for him?
So the question is, who wants AD now? How do you sell the AD story?
You can sell. They can still sell AD now. Some people, for Lakers to
how do you sell a story that is not injury prone? When he came to a place where they allowed him not play center for majority of his games, I'm still curious.
Kachi, I think you can sell AD story to a desperate team. You can sell it to desperate teams.
You can sell him to teams that are not looking to compete, like the Sacramento Kings. That's the burial ground of NBA careers. If you even want to sell Russell, they are probably the only people that will also get Russell off your books. It's just for $44 million. That's one heck of a salary right there.
Wow. Anyways, all right, perfect. Thank you very much for that. I will move to Novak, that seemed not to get out of the news based off this COVID issue, which I sincerely think, I stand to be corrected. I feel it has been overflogged. COVID, everybody has COVID these days, and we should be beyond this. And like Olawale will always like to point out, it's a team, it's a one-man sport. It's the effect of a player not getting vaccinated for a tournament does not have so much connotation compared to team sport, right? And he had to withdraw for the Montreal Open simply because of this same issue. And all things being equal, he's not going to be at the US Open as well. Kachi, I'm going to start with you on this one. Do you think it's foolish of Novak not to just succumb and potentially protect and show these beyond reasonable doubt arguments to his dominance or to his prowess in the tennis world? Or do you think this is a fight that is necessary to show us that, see, the world might be against me, but I stand by my belief? Although I don't believe he has the perfect belief, given the lie that he told, trying to smuggle himself into the Australian Open. At this point, I feel both sides should have a rethink, whether it's the US Open or Novak himself just taking the jab. For crying out loud, just take the jab.
So Devon, thanks. I believe neither. I don't think Novak should change what, whichever way or whatever the argument is behind his beliefs or behind his stance. I don't think he should change it simply because he wants to compete. I mean, if he was a young 18, 19-year-old phenom who needs to break into the sport, then you can talk about having compromise. But this is is a 20 or 21 time Grand Slam champion who knows pretty much all the politics around playing in tournaments such as this. He's visited, if not, I won't say all, because I don't think Novak has come to Nigeria, but he's visited almost all the big countries of the world. He knows how these things work. In that same light, I also don't think these countries or these tournament officials should change their rules, because let's not forget that this is not a tournament rule. It is a government official socio-political rule, which is for you to come into my country. Because if he finds his way into the country right now, he will play. The question is, how can he get past the custom and the border officials? So it's not really the tournament guys that are stopping him from playing. They put it out there that anything that makes you find a way to enter our country right now, you will be eligible. But as long as you cannot, then there's really nothing we can do. I'm saying all this to say, I personally, I took the jabs, even though I had certain beliefs. I believe in the power of miracles and all that. I still had to make certain compromises to take the jab, simply because I've weighed the pros and cons of it. I realized, okay, probably it's safer for me to take the jab than not to do it, because I have a 2.5 year old son I would not want to expose. Novak has his personal reasons for not taking the jab. To your point, these reasons have not been cogent, they've not been consistent either. However, I'm not going to ask a man or a woman for that matter to change their beliefs simply because they want to participate in tournament. But to your point, and I've mentioned this before, and I don't know if I want to say this on air, but I also still believe there's a little bit of conspiracy theory here, seeing that it is only in countries where Novak has the best advantage of winning that he currently has this challenge to enter hard court surface. Australia, US, and Canada would always follow what the United States does. For some reason, the US is the big brother
So
here.
they need a face, and Novak does not.
He's just the scapegoat. Yes, he's the biggest scapegoat. It's like when you have your younger brother working with you in the company, and you think that the best way to pass a message to the rest of your team that they need to sit up is to publicly scold your nephew or your brother or your sister or your wife. The message gets passed across. Novak unfortunately sets himself up to be the scapegoat for all this drama, and the whole world is taking notice, especially getting the likes of Nadal, Federer to come out and be in support of most officials. It becomes a little bit of a challenge to convince me that the tournament organizers should change their mind. I think both sides should just go, and let's see what happens in a year's time. Laws may be relaxed. We never can tell. It looks like COVID is, until they find a permanent cure to it, has come to stay. It will get to a point, people will just be like, you know what? If you contract it, you will treat it. Just come and live your life. But I will not ask Novak to change his stance.
All right, perfect. Well, you're a liar. I don't know what stand you are trying to change anyways. Olale, I don't know if you have a dissenting opinion to what Kachi just said, or you agree with Kachi 100%. I don't.
No, not really. For me, not really. For me, I just felt bad for Novak. I think history will not. There is a way. If eventually Nadal probably by the time both of them retires, if Nadal eventually has more titles than him, it will be sad because not everybody will probably remembers the if. What if this and this, because that will not be relevant as at that time again. What will be relevant is that Rafael Nadal has one more title than him, and I think is the architect of his own situation.
Failure.
I think his attitude, general attitude towards the COVID thing, was perceived to be arrogant and in some quarters and not really impressive. I remember there was a time when the COVID, we were still at the height of the COVID thing. I don't understand what he was trying. The point he was trying to prove. He played in a championship. I think in his in his own country.
He organized it. He organized an exhibition
where people sat very close to each other. In fact, in a normal sense, let me say, in a normal tennis sense, such an atmosphere will not even be tolerated.
Mm-hmm.
Not to talk of what do you call it when we have a COVID pandemic. So I don't know what he was trying to prove by doing that during that period. I think that didn't help him in the way people perceived him. And again, the old nonsense he did at the Australian Open last year has made things more difficult. I think he should have accepted his fate by probably just pulling out of that Australian Open.
Mm-hmm.
It
Exactly.
would have made things much easier for him. For him was trying to explore some kind of loopholes, which I think it was unnecessary. He could have taken the kind of stand Kyrie took. Kyrie didn't make any noise about his inability to play, even though it affected his team, but he just went home gently. But on the other side too, I think there's a bit we need to look at this thing critically. It's an individual sport. I'm not sure anybody is at danger. For me, the sport has more to lose than anybody can.
I don't even. Honestly, I don't know. I don't even understand what the dangers are anymore. Because
exactly.
I just have to say it. I know I'm a little bit politically radical, but we don't even see the COVID again. Now they're trying to shut us down with another monkeypox. In the way that honestly, because a year ago we were locked down. Right now we're passing, everything is happening and nothing is happening. Nobody's having COVID right now. Sounds more like a mirage to me than a necessary evil or necessary disease that would avert people from making history or playing their sport. Go ahead, Alawali.
So therefore, in conclusion, yeah, for me, I think on one hand is the architect of his present predicament due to his attitude and the kind of arrogance he exhibited when we were at the height of the pandemic. And on the other hand, I just think the organizers of the US Open and the Australian Open are just unnecessarily getting too strict with these things.
Exactly. Honestly, that's what I feel as well. Anyways, going to Rafael Nadal, pulled out of the Montreal Open because of injury, but hopefully he's going to be fit for the US Open. And Anthony Joshua potentially will be reclaiming back his title from Alexander Usyk. Like I said, there are two things. I'm not a boxing expert, and I wish either Oduz was here or Sheyi was here as well. But for me, I think it's more about the stamina for Anthony Joshua. Pound for pound, I believe he's better than Usyk. But if he cannot maintain his own against Usyk, I don't see any way on earth he's going to defeat Usyk, especially if the bout goes beyond the fifth round. Kachi, I don't know if you agree with me.
I kind of agree, but not necessarily pound for pound, because I thought he was outboxed in the first iteration of this fight. It wasn't as if Joshua had the upper hand, and what led to his potential demise was because the fight lasted for longer than 5 or 6 rounds. I thought Alexander Usyk took the fight to Joshua, which has always been his issue. He's a little bit tentative starting fights. Even when he first claimed the belt against Vladimir Klitschko, let's not forget that he was knocked down first before he started. He ended up knocking Klitschko out. When he lost his belt the first time to Andy Ruiz, it was also his tentativeness, the fact that he is not decisive on what his approach to fight will be, that ultimately leads to him losing fights, and he has to play catch up. I felt that Usyk knew what he was good at and stuck to it. Joshua wasn't sure what style or what approach he needed to take to fight Usyk. and he cannot repeat that mistake in this next fight. You have to be certain what you want to do. Do you want this fight to finish early by being very aggressive? I mean, all credits to Deontay Wilder. Wilder knew he could not last that long with Anthony Joshua. And we saw in both the second and the third bout, he especially wanted to be, he was the aggressor in the first 3 rounds. And Fury had to weather that first 3 round storm before ultimately knocking him out. Joshua has to decide what he wants to do. Am I going to work on my fitness and endurance so that I can last a 12 round bout with a heavy puncher like Usyk? Or do I want to be decisive and see if I can take this guy out in the first 6 rounds? Even if I can't take him out in the first 6 rounds, let me score sufficient point mark so that he plays catch up for the remaining 6 rounds of the bout. I think that's really what the case will be. I'm not very optimistic, I have to say. I've not watched any of his trainings. I've not watched listened to interviews where he has talked about potential strategies. But what is giving me a slight hope is that he is a fast learner. He learns from his mistake. We saw how he corrected his tentativeness after the bout with Andy Ruiz. He let his jab and his longer reach do the job. We hope that he would learn his lesson from a southpaw like Usyk, who is a heavy puncher, and rely on the counter punches instead of trying to be aggressive. But who am I? I mean, look at me. I probably weigh less than 205 pounds. I probably shouldn't be the one saying he should go with counter punches. But I expect him to learn from his mistake. If he goes undecided, then I'm sorry, the belt is long gone, and we might have to see a unification between Usyk and Tyson Fury.
All right, perfect. Olale, proud to this, the build up to this bout. AJ has been like bodying up with Usyk, and this is something we don't see in boxing. There's always this aggression, this malice and whatnot before bouts, before matches, not you bodying up with your opponent. Do you think this creates like a potential snag for AJ? Is this supposed to be the new theory or the new way that we should look at things right now? I don't understand it. I think it should be malicious, and you should go there and try to create a scenario where you are angry at your opponent, not like we're friends. We're friends. We're fighting.
Well, probably to be fair, let me just be just and a bit fair to Anthony Joshua. Probably is just trying to play a bit of a psychological game on the guy. Probably trying to make him feel relaxed. Feel a bit like I'm fighting somebody who is there to be taken. So that's the only thing that makes sense to me. For you to have gone from a conventional way where most boxers, we know how boxing about to be, they will those press conferences sometimes generate more heat than the actual fight itself.
Exactly.
So for you now at this stage trying to be doing
good guy
to the guy, I just want to probably believe it's a psychological, what do you call it,
ploy and tactic.
Or from his part.
Okay. And Olale, for you, do you in your mind of mind, do you think AJ is going to win this bout?
I feel AJ is a bit overrated. I'm sorry to say, a lot of guys might not like it. I think he's a bit overrated. He has probably lost some bout that if you're at the peak of your testing career, I don't expect you to probably lose. You shouldn't lose. So I think he's probably, I think this Usyk is a bit better than him. I'm not probably that confident that he's going to get something out of it. He will probably need to prove me wrong. But I'm not probably putting my faith in this fight. I think it might just be another Deontay Wilder, what do you call it?
Fury.
Because I think it keeps getting worse fight after fight. The first one was called a draw, even while some analysts believe
Tyson won.
Fury actually won the first. They believe he actually won
the first fight. Yeah.
The second one was more like, yes, I'm better than you, and the last one was more like, I'm not your mate. So I think we are. I think my probably going towards the same line with this. Joshua
I hope
Usyk fight.
I hope not. He's a half Nigerian. I hope not. I'm still rooting for him. The Nigerian in me will not allow me to support anybody else apart from Tyson. I don't like I don't like the fact that Tyson fights like the traditional botty we call them in Nigeria. Someone that is feels like I don't know how to say it in English. Maybe you guys can help me. But botty is botty. That's the only way to explain it. You know, all those
It's
assorted
bougie. It's too bougie
exact
right now.
exactly. You know,
I think
something like
Tyson
that.
Fury
And it's
has
been
this
like
unconventional boxer body. He looks more
yeah,
like a clown
exactly.
in time of it's the way he's
Exactly. Size and all.
His upper body weights,
And
very thin legs.
and funny, Kachi, you know the funniest thing is that Tyson uses the body pretty well, and I was expecting Joshua to do the same against Usyk, especially in the first bout. Use your weight against. I remember the last fight that Efe Ajagba had against that Mexican,
Mhm.
that Latina. That was the same thing. Efe could not use. Efe is taller, has a better read than the guy, and was allowing the guy to just jump around without having any form of strategy in a bout. You know,
Mhm.
it sounds crazy to me, but like you said, what do I know? I'm just a sport analyst sitting down in the corner of my room. I'm not getting hit by punches on my head. Anyways, to a not too good one, Ulu came out with a documentary about Michael Iron Tyson
Mhm.
without his consent or approval. And this just goes to show two things. Is Ulu crazy? Why go through such thing when you know you'll be hit by lawsuit or someone actually sold Tyson out and gave a proxy consent to Hulu? Because I don't believe it's like you saying Netflix did a documentary about someone and Netflix does not have right to do it. That sounds absurd or close to impossible. Kachi, what do you think? I don't understand. I want help me understand because I don't understand how Hulu would do that without Tyson's consent. Tyson said he did not get $1 off it, and he never
Mhm.
gets his consent, whether through proxy or expressly. And that got me confused.
Yeah, it's pretty confusing. A bit of context for our viewers. The documentary titled Mike will be coming out on August 23rd, exclusively on Hulu. But to your point, and because Tyson came out to say this is pure slavery if Hulu goes ahead to release this without coming back to the table to discuss. First, you need to find out there has to be an investigation who gave the rights. Obviously, the fights are out there in the public domain, but there must be background stories leading up to
Exactly.
these fights that Hulu has access to. I personally think that someone in Tyson's
Camp.
network gave that right, and this is someone who they believed was speaking for Tyson. I think this was a mix-up. I think ultimately Hulu and Tyson's management will come and
We'll find
get a
resolution.
settlement. I think the idea was poached to Tyson. He was probably still thinking about it, and someone within his network went ahead to give the consent. It's unfortunate that that is happening. No one should be doing that. Tyson has gone to court to seek an injunction to stop the documentary from being released on the set
Heard.
day. I think he would win it, except if the documents show that someone gave consent. But ultimately, in the law of torts, it has to be that the offer and acceptance comes from the person who you want to have that contract with, and not proxy. Except if the person, this may end up letting us know that someone forged a power of attorney or a letter of authorization. I think there is more than meets the eye. But I think the issue would be, once we find the true story, it will be from Tyson's side of the deal
Of the deal.
than Hulu. I'm saying so because Hulu is a big streaming giant. They have a
Exactly.
strong legal department, and they wouldn't have gone ahead with this
Without
documentary
authorization,
without them
any kind of
thinking that they have
authorization.
everything, exactly, thinking they have everything they need to go ahead unhindered. So we're going to see, it's going to look like the Kanye West story where someone stole his laptop and he paid $250,000 to get it back. only to find out that it was his cousin that did it. So we're going to see a lot more of this, and it also lets you know that you need
As
to
your
keep your
coach.
circle really small. But yes, I think it's an embarrassing thing because Tyson, as he got older, became wiser, and he has shown us times without number that he is very vulnerable when it comes to money issues. Someone trying to take advantage of him now is very disappointing.
All right, perfect. Malale, you know, the sad thing about it is doing a documentary about you, for instance, and nowhere in the documentary were you interviewed.
Yeah.
Olale, I don't know if you are with me. Like you were not
I'm with you. Yeah.
interviewed in your own documentary, and and I'm wondering what is Ulu smoking? Like what are they doing exactly? I don't understand why go through that kind of rigor for yourself. You know,
I'm
put
not.
yourself through that
I'm
kind
not
of
sure if
rigor.
anybody. I'm not sure if anybody have seen the probably the trailer of this thing.
No,
The
it's not out
No,
yet.
but Tyson said he was
so
not
we don't
interviewed.
know. He said it
No,
was not
Tyson
interviewed.
came out to say that was not interviewed.
Yeah, before you made this statement that Tyson was not interviewed, something came to my mind. Could this be a publicity stunt, probably to generate a bit of
Buzz.
buzz around the whole thing? Or
Mm,
because if you look at it from the two, from one hand, like you said, Ulu is for a company. In fact, companies that are not even as big as that, they have a serious legal department that knows the legal implication
exactly.
of this kind of thing
Exactly.
and know what could have caused them. So for them, I even in fact, if it was even like a proxy, what do you call it? Either approval or signing that they
Yeah.
got, I'm sure somebody there could still be like no, but it is Tyson we are talking about. So we don't want a negative blah blah blah. So for me, I just want to believe probably the way the documentary was structured. It might not necessarily be them interviewing Tyson directly. Probably it might be them speaking with people around him. We don't know yet. I see it's more of I just want to believe. I don't want to believe it was a professional error on the part of Ulu, or let me
Maybe
say negligence,
for the second time in the history
or
of this
probably
show,
negligence on the
Olale,
part.
I'm agree with you 100%.
Unless you are telling me that it is somebody Tyson is owing money that sold the right to Ulu now.
Okay, so guys, let me give a little bit of context. It is not a documentary, but a biopic. They got someone
Okay.
to act like Tyson.
Exactly.
So that is, I think that's why Hulu went ahead to do this. Sometimes you don't need direct approval when you want to do a biopic. It's like saying someone acted the story of Martin Luther King, and they had to go to the Martin Luther King's family to get approval.
Right.
As long as you have said it's a biopic and that you put it a caveat saying, oh, some parts of this story has been
They are fictional.
imagined. Yeah, something like it, that's the caveat that would indemnify Hulu from any potential lawsuit. I think
I
Tyson
hope
is really just upset that he was
I
not
hope
an executive producer in the sense that he was consulted for
Okay, I understand what you're
factual
saying.
issues.
yo, Kachi,
Actually, I
you can't
understand
write my
what you're
story
saying,
without me.
but
Yo,
it's
you can't write
still
my
a
story
bit.
without me,
I
man.
think I think they are going to still be a bit legally vulnerable
Exactly. There'll
because
be legal
of
issues to it.
it's still Tyson's story. There are some
Exactly.
stories that
Yo,
are too
I'm not
direct. Like
dead.
it's not like
Go
it's not
go
like you are
ahead,
changing
Olale.
the name of the character, or
Yeah,
it's not like you are
exactly.
changing the name of the character,
Exactly. They
or you
did
are
not change the
presenting it
name of the
as if
character.
it's not the. You are not presenting. There is a way I can tell some stories. People might know this is the person's story I'm referring to, but I'm not presenting it as if I'm telling his story.
As you.
But
Exactly.
now, if you say you are presenting Tyson's story, of course, he's still alive. He still has family. You need to consult
Exactly.
him. I think Tyson will
Exactly.
get some bit of money from this if that is the
Mhm.
case, and I think I'm happy for him.
Yo, Kachi, don't do that, man. Don't do that, okay? Don't do that.
No,
Yo, so,
no, I've seen it happen in the past. It will come down to how good his legal team is. I understand what you guys are saying, but there are legal precedences for doing biopics without going for factual accuracy. A key one in point, and for those of you who are history buffs, There's a show on Netflix called Narcos, which tries to show us everything surrounding the rise and eventual death of the
Pablo
drug
Escobar.
lord Pablo
Pablo
Escobar.
Escobar.
Now, nobody, nobody went to the Escobar family to say, please let
Yeah,
us know how correct this is. All they had to
yeah.
do was to say most of the facts are correct because they're in the public domain, but we had to reimagine some things to tie our story together.
Kachi,
And
Kachi,
that legal
Kachi,
precedence can exonerate
Kachi,
Hulu.
Kachi is different. Pablo is dead.
No,
Pablo is in,
Pablo's family is still alive. His
Pablo,
son is
Pablo,
still alive.
Pablo, Pablo is dead.
His son
His
is
son,
still alive.
Pablo
is
is not an American.
exactly. And Pablo was actually Pablo's son was actually interviewed, and he kind of gave his consent for that movie. So
Why would you say so?
no, because I read it actually. I also invested in that course. I watched the show a lot. I saw it from the beginning to the end. It was
I think
post Pablo.
I'm a big
It was
fan
post
of the
Pablo.
first two seasons of Narcos, but
Yeah, it
let's
was
move
post
on.
Pablo that got like, okay, bye bye.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with the Medellin cartel and whatnot. Anyways, we digress a little bit. I hope Tyson gets something off Hulu. I
I
hope
hope
and
so
I
too.
hope that.
I hope so too.
Unfortunately, we're not be taking a short break. I don't know if you guys want to take a little bit of water break, but right now we'll be jumping the world of football where we have exotic news. I want to use the word newsies, but there's nothing like that. I would love to use the word news, newsies, because come on, man. What we stopped last season is what we're starting off again this season. Last season was about United. And what was happening with United? Like, we saw the cracks. We know what the situation were. And I'll base my question on like 3 or 4 premises. One, why did Ronaldo kind of unstabilized United? That's the first one. Either way, he is a culprit. Number 2, why is Eric Ten Hag bent on getting FDJ when it doesn't make sense? You can get Savage, you can get Ruben Neves, you can get a whole lot of other good central midfielders across the world. If you can't get this guy, today is the 7th of August 2022, like 24 days away from the transfer closure. Any player are getting in needs to blend with the team. That's my second premise. Number 3, why did Ten Hag decide to dig his own grave by not listening to Ralf Rangnick? And number 4, why are these players so useless? Because sometimes you want to blame the coach. Sometimes you feel like you want to blame the coach, but sometimes you're like, okay, we want to blame the coach for doing this. But what about the players themselves? Why are they playing like this? Rashford on his own defeated United on Sunday. On his own, missing like 3 clear good chances. And like, why? This is the same Rashford that came out under this Van Gaal. We thought it's going to be the new big thing. 2 years for the past 2 years, Rashford has been. They've removed the Rash from his name. It's just Ford. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm visibly upset. That's my premise. And I don't know how you guys want to tackle it. Maybe you have a dissenting opinion to what I said. But Kachi, I'm going to start with you.
No.
I'll repeat myself in case you missed what I said. Why did ATH decide not to listen to Ralf Rangnick? Why are the players themselves so useless? Why is ATH so bent on FDJ when there are other chances, other players that can do whatever it is that FDJ wants to do? And why did Ronaldo choose to destabilize the team even before the season started? Because we don't even know if Ronaldo is going to leave United.
People, I don't know how to start this, but I believe the first thing I need to do is give big credit to our in-house co-host Olawale, who, when we mentioned this issue between Ragnick and ETH, came out to tell us that this is not an issue between Ragnick and ETH, that he probably felt, then we thought, oh, ETH doesn't want to listen to Ragnick, that this was a case of him taking a full stand to say, Ragnick, leave. But he came back to, he just told us, being a United man who understands how United works, that this is just the management did this and then painted certain news to make us start thinking a certain way. Now, for someone like Ralph Ragnick, who a lot of people credit with the Gegen press of this world, there is no way ETH would disregard totally his recommendation. I just believe that the United oligarchs wanted a complete tie, a complete break from ETH and everything relating to him, and past everything. Ragnick, ETH probably said, you know what? Yes, put the blame on me. Let the whole world think I was the one who said I don't want Ragnick. I think it goes beyond that. But we're beginning to see now that, although it's too early, I said this at the start. Let's forget. I said it at the start of the show. Do we start an inquest into United season, or is it too early? Right now, I want to believe it's too early for anything Ragnick wants to do, anything ETH wants to do. I think it's too early for it to start yielding results, especially if 85% of the team that was there the last 3 to 4 years are still what makes up your current team. So I don't want to believe ETH did not listen to Ralph Ragnick. I think Ragnick was booted out unceremoniously, and ETH just told them, you know what, put the blame on me. I'm the new coach. I will take it. So that's the first one. The second one is why
decide to set yourself off for failure.
Unfortunately, not because hindsight is 2020. Yes, hindsight is 2020. Now, if he knew this is how the thing would look like, he probably would have said, you know what, guys, don't do this to me. I'm not. Don't put me on the hot seat immediately.
For that.
Exactly.
But I can remember we talking about it and we're like, see, this guy is setting himself up for failure.
Yes.
But
that is us looking from outside inside. He was inside. To Olawale's point, you never know what he was promised to take that accusation on his chest. He probably would have told him, it's going to be you running the whole show. And now he will table his transfer request and he'll be like, well, technically it's not you running the whole show. We still have to approve this. How does our bottom line look? How will it affect the dividend we have been declaring? Stuff like that. So hindsight is 2020. Now I'm saying so because I've never seen a United coach get rattled so early in the season. He's already feeling the pressure of being a United coach before he even played his first game, his first league game, coached his first league game. So I think he's beginning to see a lot of broken promises so early in his tenure that he's like, oh, and Louis Van Gaal warned me. So it's the truth. Yes, that Van Gaal actually warned him that he doesn't need to go to a United team right now, as long as it's that management team that is still in charge of it. So Olawale will shed more light into that. But to your second point, why are the players useless? The answer is I don't know. I really don't think the players are useless. I think, first of all, to Ragnick's point, there was supposed to be a full clear out of some dead bad legs that did not happen. That did not. It should have happened. About 5 to 6 players should have left. They should have left. You don't add to a team that you have. See, you have one bad egg and you are still frying more egg or frying. It's like chewing groundnuts. You don't chew more groundnuts just to remove the bad taste of the one you have chewed. You have to spit out that bad taste before you can start to do, and probably even rinse your mouth. United should have done that clear out that Ragnick recommended. I'm not sure why they didn't do it. I don't have all the details. Hopefully there is an all or nothing for United somewhere in the future. I hope so. I hope so. Most of the players, we've said this countless times, most of the people wearing the red of United are not fit to wear that red. So asking why they are bad is a disservice. The question is, we always knew they were bad, or at least not good enough for United. The pressure is too much, whether you like it or not. United is a big club. And if you can't handle the heat, you should stay out of the kitchen. Not as far. I mean, we saw players even bigger than Pogba asking to leave because the pressure is too much. Now, to Ronaldo's point, to your question about Ronaldo, I totally don't understand that. I think the reason why ETH was a bit reluctant was the time to get the player he wants was too short. The Ronaldo's news came at such a wrong time, but everyone knew. And I wish a lot more people are listening to our show, because you may think we speak with a thick Nigerian accent, but the truth is we know our sports. We came out here to tell everyone that as long as United is not involved in the biggest European tournament, that at a point Ronaldo would ask to leave. His ego to be the best, to at least equal what Messi has in terms of Ballon d'Or, is still what is driving him. And if he's not going to showcase that ability in the biggest stage, we knew he was going to leave. So there's someone in the United management team who is a square peg in a round hole, who is not looking at the Ronaldo they have in front of them to say, maybe we should start thinking of alternatives. They've left ETH at an impasse, so to speak. He has 23 days to find an attacker that will be willing to come to a United team that in one league game has shown that they are dysfunctional. It will be very hard to sell the United story now. I'm not going to absorb Ronaldo off his plate. He should have told them as soon as the season ended, not wait until the new season. So no one is absolved of the blame here. What is the way forward? The way forward is the United management has to assure ETH the same way the Arsenal management assured Arteta, that no matter what happens this season, just go through it. You will get the house cleaning that you want next year, and the team will always be yours. If that does not happen, I'm sorry, ETH would leave, and he will leave ignominiously, unfortunately.
All right, perfect. I'm not sure you answered all my questions.
I'm not sure I did. I'll probably ask Olawale, who is more involved with United, and probably even has even more facts than I don't have, to shed a lot more light.
My own take, it was being mischievous, trying to avoid
my own take. My take is that you cannot. ETH is not to be blamed, if that's what we want to say. The first thing is ETH is not to be blamed. The second thing is those players are not United caliber players. Now, at least 50% of them are not.
Honestly, I don't agree with you if you tell me ETH is not to be blamed.
I don't think ETH is to be blamed.
This is my reason why. Olale, I'm going to come to you. Hold on a sec. And this is the reason why I will say ETH is to be blamed. At least, if not 100%. He saw the dossier that was left by Ragnick, saying we need I think Ragnick was overboard. He said they needed 15 or 13 new players, and he identified them, those players. You see them, and you understand what needed to be done. Even if you don't want to work with Raf, or the board doesn't want to work with Raf or whatnot, you see them, toe that line and work towards it. And why you running after FDG? That was the last question, Kachi. That you don't answer.
Okay, yeah.
Running after FDG.
Maybe Olawale should answer that question.
Now let me pick it up from there. Okay, you highlighted 4 points, which are multiple.
Exactly.
Issues. Now, probably the only one you can probably blame Frankie. What do you call it?
ETH.
Frankie. Even at that, we don't know much of what is going on behind the scene. United are in control of the media. They leak out what they want the media to hear. They have their media guys. The David Stones of the BBC. There's one guy that works with the Athletics. They have some couple of guys. When you hear United control the narrative. ETH is just coming from what you call it from Netherlands. I'm not sure he had so much of the media guys. I'm not sure that is his own way of doing things, trying to control narratives. Now, the only one I could actually blame him for, you could say, is probably the Frankie de Jong case. But looking at the whole thing a lot holistically, I think ETH succeeding United is a must for everybody involved, because I can bet it with you that if Eric Ten Hag fails as a United manager, I think future managers will probably have to consider it 1 or 2 times before taking the United job. You might probably not see a high-profile manager again, probably interested. That would be David Moyes. That would be Louis Van Gaal. That would be Jose Mourinho. That would be Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and that would be Eric Ten Hag. 5 managers. All of them can't just be that bad. They all have their issues one way or the other, but they cannot be. But looking at it holistically, it's just a management problem. Now, last season we complained about United actually finished 6th last season, but in time of total points, this is their lowest in Premier League history. That was last season. So for a team coming from their lowest total points, in fact, the season David Moyes finished 7th, they had more points than what United had last season. So from a team that probably finished a rock bottom, what signings have you done this season? An Eriksen on free transfer, Malacia who's supposed to be back up, and Martinez. United have not spent up to £70 million in this transfer window, and United have worse off even as a team. Pogba is no longer there. There is no Wamata. There is no Matic.
Lingard.
Lingard. As much as you might say those guys have their issues or they are not probably, but still having them is something. Not replacing them is another thing entirely. So in time of squad depth, United are worse off from where they were last season. So that means the management has shown not to be too serious. And for me, I've said it a couple of times. If you don't want to spend money, now you have a coach who I think you have a manager who can actually coach. Just toe the Arsenal line. Just be sincere with yourself. Just sign players with very huge upside and forget it. They won't spend you so much money. They won't cost you so much money, and they will not cost you so much salary. But again, United is a team that want to eat their cake and have it at the same time. They want to sign the big play. They want to sign one of the big players.
Sorry to cut you, but don't you think this is a discussion that the coach should be having with whoever the director or the board? Don't you think this is a discussion you should be having with them?
This is what you don't understand. Jose Mourinho had this discussion. Luis Van Gaal has this discussion. Do they have the final say? If you don't have the final say, you don't have the final say. This is the early time in his job. Do you expect him to start coming out to the press and saying, "I wanted this player"?
Olale, there's every possibility that United does not want to sign FDJ. This is just a small screen to make us think they are trying in the transfer window. That Kachi, I don't know if
possible. It is very, very possible. That's the high possibility. Now, let me tell you the problem with United. Let me tell you the problem with United. The guys running United are not running United like the football club. Now, United as a club they have a lot of debt in terms of loans that they are still servicing. Now, the way United management perceive players is different from the way me and you perceive players. Now, for them, they can't sell some players. A player like Harry Maguire, United will never sell him. Just forget it. Any coach that comes will have to manage him. Number one, if United sell Harry Maguire, Kachi, you are an accountant.
It's an addition of
the way a player is being treated in the books of a football club is just like the way a normal company treats a fixed asset.
Yeah.
You understand? For them to sell Maguire nothing less than the amount they bought
£89 million.
It will take a lot. It will be a loss on disposal, just like there's a loss on disposal of assets today. They will rather keep extending his contract, or they want to amortize the costs over a certain period of time.
Yeah.
For them, as the management, Maguire being there for like 10 years, give them like, okay, we can amortize his cost.
A good return on investment, yeah.
Over 10 years, like £8 million for 10 years is good for them. So
I don't know. Go ahead.
United problem is it's a lot of bigger problem. That now,
I still blame Ten Hag. And this is the reason why I blame Ten Hag. No, honestly, I'm going to blame you.
Just check your Google now. This night, United are seriously linked with who? Guess. Marco Anatovic. From nowhere.
Yeah. No. Olale, this is
Anatovic in Bologna that has gone to retire in Bologna.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes, Anatovic. I posted it on the Twitter page. But this is what I'm saying. See, Ten Hag went to that interview and they said, I want 100% rights over this on this thing.
Transfer dealings.
I want to be exactly. I want to have, because that is what, of course. But like you said, United control the media. I want to believe that for a second. So maybe they were just fleeting the news to us to hear what we want to hear. So exactly. That's a misconception of Erik ten Hag as well, if that is untrue. But
because what the media coming out tell you is that what the media, they will not directly quote Erik ten Hag. They will say sources within
sources within.
But when someone like LVJ came out to say, see, you are going to a commercial thing, I don't think he's so bad. He's so bad that Erik ten Hag as a new coach, he's the new bride, for crying out loud. I cannot tell them that, please, I need Gapo, I need Sangare, and I need maybe Ruben Navas is too expensive. So I'm not even talk about Ruben Navas. I'm talking about Sangare and Gapo. And I don't know. I don't know. That's how job of opinion.
ETH being the new bride. ETH is in English media. ETH is an underage bride who does not have any right. Whatever clout he has ended when he left Netherlands.
Now, I think just focusing on the game now. I think on one hand, it's also obvious for him. Now, when you play a midfield of the Fred midfield, it's still the same problem. You can't teach these guys. Like you said, those guys just have to go. You can't teach Fred how to position the ball. You can't teach him how to trap the ball. Did you observe what happened in the second half? What tactical thing did you observe in the second half?
The ball was not going through the middle again.
No, Christian Eriksen was playing as a deep line playmaker.
Yeah,
the ball wasn't going. They were now sending the ball from Christian Eriksen above.
The game flow better. So I understand for him too. He must have seen it that you can't work with this. But for me, I have a tactical solution for him, which is just a temporary solution. I think, just look at this. I think he should probably switch to a 3-4-3. For now, I have my reasons.
But Olawale, before you give your reason, I want you to put this in context when you are giving your reason. There's somebody who is very famous playing 3-4-3 right now, and we just said we don't understand his style of play, and that is Thomas Tuchel.
The reason why I'm saying that is this: sometimes you react, you set up your team based on the talent you have to get the best out of them. Number one, if you want to pairing Lisandro Martinez and Harry Maguire will not work. Harry Maguire prefers to play is most comfortable playing on the left side of the center back rather than the right side. And Lisandro Martinez probably being a left footer
wants to play there naturally.
He just wants to play there. So it's not a good combination. Now, because of the problem with Fred and McTominay is this. None of them can provide can do a DM function. What do you expect from a DM? A destroyer who can break play. You don't really probably need somebody who can carry the ball. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who can do the pass.
Spread the passes.
Now neither can they do an OD midfielder function or a deep line playmaker. They don't have the vision, so they are just there.
Transition.
So now they can't transit the ball from the defense to the attack. So what do you need? Switch the back three of either Varane, Maguire, and Lisandro Martinez. Let Lisandro Martinez be in the middle, in the sense that he can push forward. in such a way that he could act like a DM. Out of the three, he can push.
But who is the better ball handler? I believe Varane is a better ball handler, and I would have preferred him in the middle. But yeah, semantics. We can talk about
it. Now with that, therefore, let me just finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the four now, you have your wing backs. Then you can actually utilize a Malacia, who probably could be more. Is more susceptible defensively as at now, but it can add to your attacking. What do you call it? So, but the only weak link in that team now will be Diogo Dalot, who has been very disappointing for me. Now, in that sense, you can actually play when you have three centre backs, with one of them who can a bit push forward to act as a defensive midfielder at times. You can actually now play you can play what do you call it? A Donny van der Beek and Christian Eriksen in the central midfield. They can handle the ball better. Those two understand the kind of formation
basic
you
football.
understand the basic football. Then you can now probably decide on any front three, probably Ronaldo, Sanchez, Marcia, because I think at this stage Rashford needs to be dropped. He was awful. It was awful today, and today is not an exception. He has been awful for like 1.5
awful exact for
1.5
years.
And I think this is a time for him to give. For if the signings are not coming in, I think he just have to put his faith in two of these young guys, Zidane Igba
and
Garnacho. I think those boys will add more value to you than what Rashford is presently giving you.
Exactly.
Or what Scott McTominay and Fred is going to give you. For me, I think that will be because I'm not sure you. Debo, I said it before this thing. I said United might not sign more than 3 players. Maybe I said it.
Yeah, you said so, but you know the crazy thing about this. While you were talking, I'm thinking about something. I know most people are not ardent lover of Arsene Wenger. But what you just said, I just remember a season Arsene Wenger was playing Senderos and Johan Giroud.
You don't have anything to lose. And for me, Debo, it's a message to the board. For me, it's a message to the board. I'd rather play those boys than play, what do you call it? Fred that doesn't
understand. Exactly. I see. Kachi, I saw the transition of Iqbal Zidane.
Mm-hmm.
That boy, if he's well nurtured, can be an Eriksen. If well nurtured, can be a Serge Fabregas.
Mm-hmm. Do you understand?
It's not too young. Give this guy chances.
But we know ETH too. Also, is coming from the higher school of business. This is another reason why you know that there's a strong interference from senior management.
Then it should be. I don't want to use bad word or language, but I'm paid.
It's too early to resign. It's too early. It's too early.
United board cannot stand him resigning.
Yeah, it's too early. It's bad optics. It's pure bad optics if he resigns now.
Kachi, be like Marcelo Bielsa. Bielsa went to a team and resigned the following week.
Do you know how old Bielsa is? Bielsa at that point was not looking to coach any other. Do you understand? He's a young boy. He's a young boy in coaching business. He's a young boy in coaching business.
He can leave. Because it doesn't see Kachi is like it's like me calling you from Shell Company now as a chartered accountant, and I'm telling you are going to be in charge of my audits and my compliance and whatnot. And you now came and I told you to go to the store and be doing stock counting.
Do warehouse reconciliation. I totally understand that.
I poach Olale from Zeno Oil now. I tell Olale, since I'm now in the bank, you have to go to marketing. And he's a chartered accountant for crying out loud. He's a seasoned auditor for crying out loud. That's the same thing that's happened to Den Haag. It doesn't make sense for me.
It's the same thing, but to your point and to Olawale's credit, he's always said it. All this is pointing to one thing: the current owners of Manchester United don't have the tenacity to run a football club in Europe.
Debo, let me tell you the reason why. See, Ralf Rangnick was let go because all those things Ralf Rangnick was saying to the media.
He was too vocal. He was too vocal. Yes, he was.
was too
I
vocal for
honestly
their
know
life.
if we keep talking,
And
if
it
we
was actually
keep
right.
talking about United, we probably will not live here today. But it's painstaking when you see a club of United stature being run
Struggling the way
being
they're
led
struggling right now.
like a beer parlor company. I don't understand. It does not make sense. No sporting director that makes sense. For kind of like, ask now, bought a do back. See what Edu has done in 2 years. We've had a failed coach. We've had a less successful coach in Mikel Arteta that does not understand how to manage people. But see where Arsenal is. It's a growing concern. We understand that. But as of today, you can't say Arsenal is not a good work in progress. United, since Ferguson left, there has not been any form of progress. None. 4 or 5 coaches after. None.
Okay.
0.
Here's the thing. Like you rightly said, Debo, we can sit here and try and dissect what is happening with United. But the people inside United also have to be truthful to themselves. The first way to making changes is acknowledging that there is a problem in the first place. But as long as these guys continue to pay themselves dividends of $11 million almost every year, as long as people are buying the shirts, as long as they can go to Southeast Asia and
Now,
go crazy.
There should be an uprising.
If Frankie de Jong is what you people actually
need,
if actually 17 million euros is the problem, and you really valued him like that, can't you just pay it off and get your man as early as possible?
Olawale does not make sense. Frankie de Jong pursuit is a wild good taste. In footless, Barcelona has so much problem. Why do you have to go for a problem that a problem? Why do you have to go for a complicated problem? That's why I said maybe United does not even want to buy Frankie de Jong in the first instance.
Lebron, listen to me now. Lebron, what I'm saying is this. I'm still we are still on the same side. If Frankie de Jong is what your manager actually needs, you understand? And okay, Frankie,
get it for him and let him start his work.
Frankie, do you want to join? Because it will be bad optics on United if at the end of the day, if Frankie eventually moves to Chelsea, because you can't be chasing a player. You can't be chasing a player for 3 months if the player is not giving you the green light that I want to join. Now,
I want to ask you a question before you go ahead. I want to ask you a question. Is United broke?
United is not broke, but United presently is run by guys who don't understand football, and they are too proud.
Anyways, let's move on to something better. I'm not sure I want to talk about United ever again on this show. I will leave you guys to talk about
it. It's inevitable.
I'm not going to talk about United.
United is big news. It's like American sports broadcasters and journalists not always including Lebron James in whatever they are saying, good or bad. United is big news.
We're saying the same thing. Next time we're talking about United, you'll be the anchor. I'll just watch the show for a couple of minutes because it does not make sense to me if a club of that stature is being run like a bear. Even Real Madrid, even Barcelona is broke, that they are thieves. They are making sense. They're making sense. Their former president is a money launderer.
A thief.
He's a money launderer. He's a thief.
Debo, now let me give you another hint.
Debo, £50,000 every week.
Debo, wait.
After Gizmo, £650,000 every
week. Let's hear Lawale. Let's hear Lawale.
Now something happened. There is this scheme that United fans have been deceiving themselves with. They want to have control of their club. Now there is this scheme that they want to sell part of the shares to the fans. It doesn't solve anything. It's just something that will generate some positive
money. Yeah, I think it's even pouring money back into the company. That's the only thing.
Do you understand? The only problem is that they know the money will be directly invested in the club. Why do you have to sell it? How do you have to sell shares? So for me, I think there is no need for us to. When the boards, when they are ready, I think the fans are the ones. Let me tell you, the fans are the ones to blame. The only thing these guys understand is money. Because as at June, or was it May? What do they call them? These fans, the ones that buy tickets in advance. What
The
do they call
season
them?
ticket holders, season ticket holders.
Was fully subscribed.
Sold out.
Of course, if you could do that, those guys will continue to spend minimum. If Old Trafford keep filling up to capacity every game week with this kind of result, those guys will continue to run the club like that.
The
Because
fans
that
are
means
also very fickle.
they can make their money.
I don't.
They can make-
No, this is the problem. Things are not going to change. Things
You
will
understand?
change. Because these
If the
owners
fans-
are not going anywhere soon. They're not
Exactly.
going anywhere.
The only news they will understand is if the let me
wonder-
say the attendance at Old Trafford drops to
No wonder-
20,000. That's
no
what they will
wonder
understand.
No wonder Mourinho said that is his biggest achievement in terms of.
We can understand why Mourinho
we
said
can
that
understand
now.
what
Even
Mourinho
though
was
he-
saying now.
Exactly.
100%. And
Bahar said that club is just
Olale,
for commercial.
for whatever it is that is happening right now, we have to blame Paul Pogba for the issue that happened today. Of course, Paul Pogba is at fault, and Ferguson for being alive and whatnot. Anyways, let's move to a better, a little bit
Organized
juicy
team.
that can douse my tension a little bit. Arsenal struggled against Crystal Palace after an explosive first half to defeat Crystal Palace 2-0. Kachi, I'm going to come to you on this one first. Okay, let me start with Olawale. I'll start with Olawale on this one. Arsenal looked very explosive in the first half, missed a couple of chances. But considering what Arsenal did against Crystal Palace last season, our first leg, I believe they played a 2-2 draw. They snatched the draw at Emirates. Second leg, they were defeated comprehensively due to the tactical acumen of Patrick Vieira. You know, which is evident for everybody to see. And they went back to the same Selhurst Park. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right.
Selhurst Park.
And they did pretty well, held their own, kept it together. And considering that Arsenal does not even have Fabio Vieira currently right now, a couple of other players that are out, whether through injury, suspension, or whatnot. How do you think Arsenal held their own in the first game? And how happy should an Arsenal fan be right now, considering what they see of their team?
Now, Arsenal should be very, very happy taking that first victory because considering the kind of positive vibes that was generated during the preseason, the last thing you want to go to is losing your first game or dropping points, irrespective of the fact that that was a difficult fixture. Most people will not realize it was a difficult fixture, but considering the kind of result Arsenal recorded during the preseason, and then probably playing a draw, it will be the narrative will have changed. Like, oh, it's the preseason team. Shebu, we told you all those things. So yeah, it was a very good win from that point. Probably not too satisfied with the
overall play
performance, the overall game. Not too satisfied. I think they started very well in the first half. Created some couple of chances. They should have scored a bit more in the first half. But I think in the second half, Crystal Palace were I think they recovered and they probably found a way to beat the Arsenal press, and they created their own good chances too. Ramsdale makes some couple of good saves. I think poor finishing on the part of what do you call it? On the part of Crystal Palace too. But I think Arsenal considered some possession in some areas that I'm not too comfortable with. But again, I think first game of the season, Crystal Palace is actually a tricky type for Arsenal. Though they have a team that can hold you on their own good day. On their own good day, 2-0 was a very good score. They have the chance to build on that. They have another tricky tie in the second game against Leicester at home. I think they can follow up with another victory. I think the first 2-3 games of the season at times
is very important.
It's just for it. Performance might not be your performance might not be the most important thing. I think result is actually and for you to build momentum. I think good one for Arsenal, but there is still room for them to improve. Saliba shows us the kind of quality is made up. I was surprised why he was loaned out in the first place. People have added a bit of quality to that team. So we saw a lot of money, a lot from Odegaard. I want to see much from Saka. I think they are the focus was more on his side in terms of the Arsenal build up when they build up their attack. But I think he needs to utilize the ball better. Probably you can forgive him. He was the right back playing with him is not a conventional right back, which is Ben White. So
Ben White.
we couldn't see much of that overlapping combination who could have probably given him a bit of options. You know, when you have your right back overlapping, he has a tendency of dragging the left back towards him, then giving a bit of more space for Saka to explore. We couldn't see that. So I think I'll forgive him for that, but I think he needs to do more, being the focal point of the team's attack.
Honestly, while watching the match, I was just like, God, why didn't Arsenal go all out for Rafinha? It would have been a very good option for Arsenal as against when Saka is not in his element. But my next question to you, Kachi, and this question will be for you. Saliba was the man of the match. It looks like he has potentially cemented his
spot on the
his spot in the center of the defense. But Ben White playing in the right at the right back. Do you think Arsenal, he had his own against Wilfred Zaha, who we know is very explosive?
I didn't think he held his own. I think he was run ragged by Wilfred Zaha.
I think considering the circumstances surrounding it, he's a centre back playing against. He did not concede any irrational penalties or do anything irrational. So I still think it was a little bit, should I say, good. If you ask me,
decent, he put in a decent shift. I agree.
Exactly. Do you think this should continue, and should Arsenal be on the lookout for his right back? Because they still have Cedric and they still have Bellerin. Those two guys are not good enough for Arsenal again. That is the sincere truth.
Yeah, and if you listen to his post-match interview where he was asked if there were still more players to come in, Arteta himself alluded to that yes, they are still looking to be active in the market. I think that answers your question there. Playing a Ben White in that position against teams that are clearly better than Crystal Palace will spell doom for Arsenal, especially with the kind of confidence they built in heading into the season, which they cemented with the first game. It's always important. To put it in context, if Arsenal had taken 1 point from the first 3 games last season, they would have finished fourth last year. So it is important for them to start well, but there's so much you can use a square peg in a round hole for. At some point, it will break and it will lead to some dysfunction. So yes, I think Arteta should look into solidifying and getting a good, a solid right back right now. I'm not sure how many there are in the market. I probably have to go check my records. The Bellerins of this world can come in, and after the person has run himself ragged for 60-65 minutes, you can now put in someone to just, you know what, don't go and pour it in the front anymore. Just stay in your right back position. Don't support Saka anymore. Just do your defensive duties.
My problem with Tomiyasu is Tommy probably would be injured for a better part of the season.
Yes, that's why there has to be a very good number 2 option. And every time we talk about how good Liverpool and Manchester City are, the main difference between them and the supporting cast has been that they have 22 really good players that you can bring in the next man up. That's why Zinchenko can go, and Zinchenko will walk right into the Arsenal first team.
Yeah,
you know.
And Kachi, just to buttress what you said, when Zinchenko was substituted and Kieran
Tierney came in,
it stabilized the team. Like, okay, one good player for even a better player. Because I would choose Tierney any day, anytime over
because
Zinchenko.
he's well ingrained in Arsenal style of play than Zinchenko for now.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, this is a good. Why don't we have that kind of option on the right back as well? You know, because
and especially now when I think about it, Arsenal, the English national team is blessed with a plethora of right backs. I think that's probably their strongest position right now. I'm talking for England, you know, from Kieran Trippier let's be serious here. To Walker and the host of other players. So I
Yeah,
think there's
TTA.
hope for Arsenal to come and find someone they like. Back to my assessment of their game.
Yeah.
I probably felt Arsenal played the best football I've seen them play in almost 3 to 4 years in the first
Wow.
15 minutes against Crystal Palace.
Wow.
I think it's a strategy. Well, I want to see the second game. I think it's a strategy Arteta wants to build on to see, and I saw West Ham try the same thing against City to see, can we just give them the Mike Tyson treatment for the first
For
15,
the
20
first
minutes
15, 20
and
minutes,
see how many goals we can
we
get.
can score.
That can help us stabilize and open up the counter attack style of football, which I think Arteta ultimately wants to play.
Who wants to play?
But that can only happen when teams are chasing the game. But when a team is still with you, neck to neck, 30 minutes, 35 minutes, there's been no breakthrough. It becomes a little bit tougher for those young Arsenal guys. Yes, they are gaining more experience. Yes, we are seeing what the Kroenkes are doing. They do in particular, getting young guys. But these young guys need to win together for confidence to grow stronger. So let's see how it goes. I liked what I saw. It was an away game. They were bound to suffer against a decent Crystal Palace team. I think what's the name of the other guy? Gallagher. If Gallagher had an amazing game like we saw him have last season, they probably would have given us a lot more trouble.
Gallagher is back in Chelsea.
Oh, Gallagher has gone back to Chelsea. So they missed. Okay, so they actually missed that influx of Gallagher. Eze could have notched the chance he got as well. But I mean, that team did not come to count Bridge as well. They were playing at home. They needed to impress. First game of the season, Arsenal was bound to suffer. So for them to not only win but keep a clean sheet, I think it bodes well for them, especially this season where people want to see progress. You remember when I talked about AC Milan and I said I wasn't expecting them to win the league. I just wanted to see that there's progress. Right now, the target is progress. If the progress leads to a top four, fantastic, which I believe is the minimum requirement for Arteta right now, especially enjoying the support of the management. But I liked what I saw over the course of match day one.
Someone in Manchester United should call Edu, please, and Arteta on how to manage a football club.
But that's probably one thing we're seeing right now. Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, they trusted their former players to come to the back room and see what they can do. United right now, I don't think they have anybody in the back room that was in that vintage.
They have Fletcher that sits on the bench with the coach.
I think
not as a coach in the back room. In the back room.
Actually, I think let us get this right. There are lots of guys who are not ex-footballers, but who are very good administrators.
Yeah.
For Edu is not there because he's a former Arsenal player. It's because he's capable, because he understands football, because he has connection with agents. He knows how it works. Mm-hmm. So because
it does. We have to
be very careful about ex-footballer or something. Before you bring a Gary Neville to come and run the show, and you understand. So,
Roy King. You need a Roy King in your backroom staff.
Gary is going to cause an uprising in United. That's what Gary's hope is. His hope is to cause an uprising in United to send away the Glazers. And I think at this point, the Glazers need to go if they cannot give us what we want for 5.
It's not a democracy. I'm sorry.
Kachi, we can. If there's an uprising, they will go. Forget it. They will go. Kachi, I can tell you for free now.
What's the name of that Newcastle guy that stayed for so long before he eventually sold?
I forgot his name as well. Kachi, I can tell you for free. I can tell you for free today. For free. Ferguson ran away. Anyways, to the surprise game of the weekend, Fulham against Liverpool, ending 2-2. And you see what the Fulham coach is trying to do. cementing on what Scott Parker did last season or 2 seasons ago, I believe. This guy is, I've forgotten his name. I can't remember his name right now for one strange reason or the other. But he came with a good brand of football, not being so scared. Not everybody can play Liverpool the way they did. And Van Dijk had probably his worst game in a Liverpool jersey. Was bullied all throughout the game by Mitrovic. Mitrovic, don't forget, scored like 40 or 42 goals last season in the championship. Yeah. I can't get my hand on the exact number of goals, but he scored a ridiculous number of goals in the championship last season. The last season that Fulham were in the Premier League, he was not even playing because he was not well trusted by the coach, by Scott Parker then. But now it looks like he's being trusted, and he gave them 2 good goals, 1 penalty, and a header that he actually bullied TTA. Olale, I don't want to talk about it. I'm not going to ask you the question. It's a little bit too early. But overall, how well do you think Fulham held their own against Liverpool?
They did very well. I was actually surprised with their performance. I didn't expect that from them. I think one good thing is, as much as they try to play very positively, I think they probably utilize their strengths, playing through the wings, crossing the ball. Mitrovic has not really enjoyed much success in the Premier League. I remember the last time they came, I think he scored 3 goals for Fulham. Then it wasn't really too much trusted. And anytime he goes back to the championship, he scored a whole lot of goals. Last year, he broke the record of, I think he scored like 37 goals was it 40 something goals in the championship.
I'm not sure.
So now he has continued from where he left. I think they dominated Liverpool in the midfield. I think Liverpool probably will have to, Jurgen Klopp will have to reassess that his midfield options, especially with the injury to Thiago Alcantara, and Henderson doesn't look like a guy that will probably have to be playing on a week-to-week basis again. So it might need to shove. And for the attack, again, probably at this stage, Firmino will probably have to
make way and be a sub. Yeah.
Nunes seems to look like a guy that is probably ready to score a whole lot of goals. Considering the fact that, as much as exciting and let me say very positive Luis Diaz is, I don't think Luis Diaz will give you the kind of numbers in terms of goals that Sadio Mane gives you. In that case, you might probably need your center forward to score more goals. I think that will be the case for Danny Nunes going forward. It wasn't a game. Liverpool were not comfortable, just like Gabriel you clearly stated. That was Van Dijk probably worst game in his Liverpool shirt. Matip too didn't probably do well at all. A lot of players from Liverpool side, they had the average game, but I think Jurgen Klopp still probably needs to learn to be a very good loser. You don't have to complain about everything every time.
About the pitch.
It's probably uncalled for. When I saw it on ESPN, I said, because this was I saw it coming. I knew there will be an excuse for the job. You can have a bad day. Everything should not be attributed to
positive.
It doesn't make sense. It shows how. It shows you as a very as a bad loser.
A sore loser.
Yeah. So all right. So perfect. Thank you very much for that, Olale.
I just think they need to do a little bit more. They don't need this kind of results for a team that wants to win the league.
For the league. I think I'm hoping by the end of this season, Olale, you would agree with me that City are dominating the Premier League, because I'm pretty sure they probably win the league.
City is consistent. They are not dominating. They are consistent. I had to put that in there.
And they've won like three championships before in the past 4 years. Okay, I don't know what else it is to do.
That was a joke. Yeah.
We're looking at the statistics of Gary Neville at Villa at Valencia,
Valencia. Come on, don't
and
do that.
is the direct mirror of the statistics of Steven Gerrard at Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
Are we missing something?
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Wow.
Are we missing something, actually?
We are not. I think it's no longer the honeymoon phase right now. Villa has to accept that at their best, they are a mid-table team that should probably be involved in the relegation battle every season.
Oh,
Um, at their best, at their worst, they should be relegated every other year
you are
they come to
wicked.
the league.
You are wicked.
No, no, no,
What do
no.
you
It's the
mean?
truth. We don't expect. Everyone has crowned Stevie G as the next best thing simply because he went to Scotland. And with good respect to
Scottish
Rangers
League.
and Celtics, the Scottish League is not even at the level of the English Championship, not to talk of the Premier League. So
Come on, man.
the caliber of people he's going to face, the drama, the demand, is because when you're in Scotland, it's like Germany. Every team wants to either play for Bayern Munich or even if or Dortmund, but any team playing in Dortmund knows that eventually I want to go to Bayern Munich.
It's
In
Ben.
Scotland, it's either you play for Rangers or Celtic.
I play for
They always
Celtic.
got the best of local talent, and anybody who has failed in England ultimately goes to Scotland to resurrect their career. He's come to Aston Villa now. The honeymoon phase, he was an unknown commodity, and that sea finish has entered. Let me put it in a language that I think the Nigerian listeners will understand. Now the harsh reality of coaching has set in. We saw my man Wayne Rooney almost look like a 90-year-old man for coaching in the championship, and he had to run to get some sanity in the MLS. I think that's what's setting in now. Stevie G has to give himself realistic objective, which is my
Targets.
target is remain in the league. I don't care if I finish 17th. I just want to remain in the league. Once that
Anyway,
pressure, once the objective is low, any other team becomes a cherry on the cake. So
all right.
unfortunately for him, he's not doing this away from home. So he will never be torn down the way Gary Neville was torn apart, leaving, going to Spain, that he doesn't speak the language, he doesn't know the culture, and he wanted to imprint his fingers on it. It's a tough
So
sell.
Bournemouth defeated Aston Villa at home 2-0. Leeds United defeated Wolves 2-1. Olawale, that does not believe in Leeds United, did eventually because they have two Americans in their team. Newcastle, people should be wary of them. Defeated Forest 2-0. But from the word go, I'm tipping. I said tipping. I'm tipping Nottingham Forest to go down. I don't know. I'm tipping them. For me, I'm tipping. After that corner kick routine that looks like elementary football, I'm tipping them to go down. How do you come to this is the Premier League. This is the best soap opera in the whole wide world. And
They
you
will
come
make
to
good
Premier
money.
League with that kind of routine. I'm
They
tipping
will
them to go
make they
down.
will make good money.
I'm not saying they will not make money, but I'm tipping them to go down. Because if you come to the Premier League with that kind of routine, you should be going down, honestly. And of course, the Spurs showing who they are, defeated Southampton 4-1. Son and Kane were not even on the goal scorer
And
goal
score
sheet.
sheets, yeah.
That shows you that there are goals across Spurs right now. But Ali, many people have tipped City and Liverpool to win the league. But I can remember something vividly like that Conte did when he came to Chelsea. He struggled at first. Chelsea were coming from a backdrop of a bad season as well. And by September, people were talking about Conte leaving or being sacked. But by the end of the season, Chelsea won the league. Do you think there could be a repeat of this as Spurs? Balali.
Yeah, it's possible. He has proven to be a winner. Is a winner with what he did at Chelsea. In fact, I think we need to start with Juventus. If you recall, after the whole saga with what do you call it? The old scandal with Juventus when they
Yeah.
were relegated and they came
Mm-hmm.
back,
Mm-hmm.
they struggled a
Mm-hmm.
little bit.
Yeah.
Conte was the one that started that
Revolution.
revolution, and now they won like almost 9 league titles in a row or something like that. He
Uh-huh.
started it before he left, and was it when Maximiliano Allegri now came in. Now
Yeah.
that shows he has something when it comes to building a winning team. The same thing at Chelsea. Initially, he struggled. He played a 4-3-3 that wasn't really working before he's now switched to a 3-4-3. In fact, the best version of a 3-4-3 was that Chelsea team under Conte. Now, Inter Milan didn't win the league for so many years, and he won them their first title in probably
First
10
title
years
since Mourinho.
since Mourinho left. So that means this is a man that has some. And we look at what do you call it? Spurs last season. If it is not Kane, it's what do you call it?
The son.
It will be Son. And but the revolution started in January with addition of Kulichevsky
Kulusevski
and
and
Benteke,
Bentancur.
and with Richarlison coming in, most of us feel probably Kulichevsky might lose his place, but of course, he's probably more comfortable playing on that right side than than Richarlison. Now, he has laid a bit of emphasis more on their fitness. If you see them doing the preseason, fitness was the key. And with the kind of style of play, the game they won 4-1, none of Kane and Son scored a goal. That's how impressive it is. The strength of that formation most times is the wing backs, and which makes Ivan Perisic, everybody should look out for him. He's probably not fit for now, and probably might not nail that piece, because I think we are assessing on to get a decent amount of games.
Decent amount of games, yeah.
People need to watch for those wing backs. I can't say anything for now, but if Spurs happens to be in the title going to it in December, you might not them up. And one thing that probably stands out, even despite the fact that City got Haaland, I think that City team is not, the depth of that squad is not as deep as it was before.
2 seasons ago.
Now they've lost a couple of players and they've not really signed
replacement.
We don't know what will happen to Bernardo Silva. There is high possibility that
He might move to
Barcelona. So which means if that as good as the City team is, if they struggle with injury, with one or two key players injured, they might likely struggle. They might likely struggle. And Liverpool probably, it's just only one game. They probably shown their own vulnerability too, which means if there is any good team that is up to it,
it's going to be Spurs.
We might be in for a surprise. But again, it's probably too early. But yes, I will not rule it out, and I will not be surprised if I see Spurs competing for the title.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much for that. Kachi, Chelsea, we told the Chelsea fan on the fan zone on Thursday that they don't have an identity, they don't have a style of play, but we were told that they are cool with it and they are fine with the way their team plays. I know it's just the first. I'm a hardened critic of TT. I don't like the way he plays football. I forgave him for winning the Champions League in the first season, and that was a failure. And
I don't think you hate City. I don't think you hate City. I think the fact that you've seen City playing better in Dortmund.
Exactly.
I think that expectation is a bit higher.
High, exactly. Thank you for the correction, Olawale. and we saw them without identity against Everton. And shout out to, or should I say, not shout out, big miss to Ben Godfrey that broke his leg in that game. We wish him a speedy recovery. But if probably Ben did not break his leg, that penalty, that rush of blood on Dakore's brain did not happen. Chelsea would have come off with a 0-0, or probably without the red card, they will have even drew the game, and you're looking at the bench and saying, okay, what's happening? According to Fabrizio, Timo Werner due to how Bill has been signed, sealed, and delivered.
Mm-hmm.
Total movements, not even a loan. I am wondering, they are shipping these guys out. Who are you shipping in? Ziyech is being linked
Probably
to Manchester
Ronaldo.
United and Milan. He said he doesn't want Ronaldo. I'm wondering why he doesn't. You are looking at your team that way, and you are saying you don't need Ronaldo. I don't understand. I'm confused, Kachi.
As I am as well. I remember at the start of the show, I told you that it looked like this Chelsea team. It was a snooze fest, to be honest. The game was very hard to watch. It was really a very hard watch for me while watching Chelsea over the weekend. I didn't see any cohesion and no creativity from that middle. Yes, they had a workaholic in Kante, but there was really nothing imaginative happening from the middle. Um, I told the Chelsea fan that they would have to be very patient this year. I'm beginning to question if it's the coaching staff because it looks like it's a problem with the players. It's probably easier to coach younger people between 21 and 25 and get them to do what you want than it is to coach veterans 26 to 30 or 34. Looks like most times they are set in their ways. Getting them to change a style of play becomes
Too
a bit of a
difficult.
challenge. It was. I'm not sure we'll be looking forward to most Chelsea games this season,
This season.
except it's the marquee games. But let's see who comes in. Unfortunately, Barcelona spoiled all the plans Thomas Tuchel has. He has a very good alibi to say, well, you guys saw me looking for players, but every time I identified players, a certain Blaugrana club in Barcelona in Spain came to steal all our players. They will still need to get a good attacker. I still feel they need someone creative in that middle of the pitch. Sterling cannot do it. He obviously has to play further up. Between Kante and Pulisic and Mount, I'm still so unconvinced on how Chelsea will do this. I have to be honest. They might have to change formation to accommodate more people on the pitch. When I say more people, I mean much more people in the middle. Right now, Timo Werner is gone. That is confirmed. Werner is gone. Everybody's afraid to wear the number 9 shirt, but they are being touted. They are being linked with Aubameyang now. It looks like Oba will need to move now that Lewandowski has come.
Lewandowski has
If
possibly.
Aubameyang come, I think that would be good. But even for Aubameyang, he needs to be in a team that is creating chances, and that is
Yeah,
what Chelsea's
exactly.
problem is right now. They are not
Exactly.
creating enough
He'll just
chances
he'll
to
become
make
another
it
Lukaku. He'll
yeah,
become
to make
another
me
Lukaku.
consider that he is just going to be another. And ultimately, this will come and vindicate Lukaku, where he will say, at least give me chances to miss
Exactly.
and then call me a bad player because they
I
are
not
not
have just
creating enough chances.
2K of sweat every match, and it's racing his hands up like, give me
And
chances,
chewing
give me
gum
this.
and
I don't
Like
chewing
know.
I
gum.
said, like I
So
said
so
about
it's a tough
in the
sell.
past, I think it's difficult for a striker to play in that formation, in the sense that number one, if you are playing the traditional 3-5-2, one of the five have to be a very creative attacking midfielder, a Zidane, a Ricosta, somebody
Hazard.
who is very good on the ball, a somebody like an Andres Iniesta. That's somebody you are looking up. Or you rather modify the formation to a 3-4-3. You have a center forward flanked by 2 wingers. And the problem with Chelsea is the fact that their wingers are probably underperformed. From Ziyech to Pulisic, we've not really seen much of them. So
Yeah,
for me, I think Thomas Tuchel probably needs to look himself in the mirror first about the formation, about the personnel before probably, because for me, it's an indictment on him that Lukaku went on loan a year after joining. No matter what,
after exactly.
even if Lukaku was not his first choice, it was because Lukaku is not that bad. Even at United, that Lukaku still score
Double figure.
decent amount of goals at United in like 2 seasons. So I don't think it's bad. I just think Tuchel himself needs to look at his mirror, because if Tuchel is going to rely on Kai Havertz and the way they are playing, a lot of games will end in a draw.
Wale, it's good news for teams like Sports and Arsenal. That means they have better chances of finishing in the top four or possibly the top five. Anyways, Leicester City played a 2-2 draw against Brentford. They're missing their talisman Eriksen. United, that we've taken so much time to talk about, lost at home at Old Trafford at the Theatre of Dreams. 2-1 to Brighton and Hove, which is a great disappointment. And then Alan announced himself to the Premier League with 2 goals, 1 penalty and 1 well-taken goal, a poacher's goal, to cement a 2-0 away victory against West Ham as well. Bayern Munich kick off their season off with a 6-1 whitewash
Okay.
of
Finish what
Frankfurt.
you're saying.
Go ahead, please.
What did you see something in that Elihana's second goal?
Tell me, I missed
He's
it.
actually a left footer. Immediately he anticipated that pass. He immediately changed his body position to make himself comfortable on his left leg and took the chance very, very well. That is what strikers do. You have to anticipate. And he gave himself the best chance to score that goal.
Olale, I'm pretty sure if you give Alan to Thomas Tuchel right now, they probably loaning him out next season.
So no way.
What? To Norway or back to Salzburg?
Most likely.
And of course, Borussia Dortmund defeated Bayer Leverkusen 1-0. Chelsea, I said Chelsea. Messi scoring an overhead kick. Defeated Clermont in the French League 1, 5-0 as well. And of course, Monaco defeated Salzburg 2-1. That's the show. We'll be with you guys for a long time. Thank you very much for staying tuned with us. So we'll see you again next week, or should I say later this week. We'll probably do a fan zone on Friday as well for teams to talk about. Take like 1 or 2 games and people will talk about their selected games. Don't forget to join us. Thank you very much, Olale, for taking time out for us today. Till we see you again next week. My name is Alabo Ali, and it's still New Sister Sport. Don't stop supporting sport, guys.